I feel the pressure, the unseen weight, that dictates my movements. It is not fate, but fire, trapped beneath the crust of my awareness. I have spent years searching for the source of my inertia, the reason why simple action feels like moving through thick, dark water. We misuse the word libido. We confine it to the narrow room of the flesh, thinking only of primal urges. But Jung understood it as something far grander, as the raw, psychic energy, the universal urge toward life, toward individuation. It is the current that seeks expression, the force that demands you move, create, destroy, and then rebuild. When that current is dammed, when the impulse is denied the light of consciousness, it does not dissipate, it merely pools, deep in the unconscious. There, in the darkness, it feeds the complexes, turning potential into prison walls. This is the source of the paralysis you feel, the heavy, unmoving dread, the tyrant within, the mechanism that operates without your permission. I look at my choices, my repetitive failures, and see not my own deliberate will, but the heavy hand of an autonomous entity, an archetype demanding tribute. It is the father complex, the shadow self, roaring for attention. Yet their fuel is merely the raw, uncensored power, the sacred energy. I refuse to acknowledge the power of my own deepest desire. The most potent dam, the one built highest, is constructed around the sexual energy. It is the creative fire itself, the revelation of self, the ecstatic recognition of existence. And when this force, this immense power, is shoved into the darkness, it becomes a poison, a slow-acting toxin. It manifests not as healthy expression, but as crippling rage, as obsessive control over others, as a paralyzing anxiety that grips the throat. It is the unlived life, demanding payment, in the currency of neurosis. The complex is merely a collection of emotionally charged ideas, fragments of the self, that have been abandoned. And the energy that binds them, that gives them their terrible, autonomous power, is the libido, the life force, that you have rejected. This is the tyrannical psychic inertia. It is the feeling of fighting a ghost, only to realize the ghost is powered by your own heart, your own suppressed vitality. Consider the impulse you deny daily, the creative urge, the desire for connection, or the dark, consuming hunger for power. When you push this impulse back into the abyss, you are not suppressing a weakness, you are handing a loaded weapon to your own worst enemy, the complex. This complex then returns, masked, as procrastination, as sudden, inexplicable bursts of self-sabotage, as the inability to sustain a relationship. It is the shadow of what you could be, operating against what you believe you should be. You must understand, the complex does not care about morality, it only cares about the release of that stored energy. If it cannot be released through love, or creativity, it will be released through conflict, through suffering, through the slow, agonizing decay of your potential. To reclaim this force, is to descend. It requires the painful work of integrating the shadow, of meeting the archetypes lurking in the abyss. It is to understand that the energy you suppress, is the very material required for your transformation. You must look directly at what you hate about yourself, what you fear others will see, what you crave in the deepest dark. For that is precisely where the fuel for your destiny, is currently imprisoned. Your task is not to eliminate the complex, but to starve it, by diverting its fuel, back to the conscious self. This is the alchemical process, turning lead into gold, turning neurosis into self-realization. It begins with a profound act of honesty, recognizing the shape of the dam, the nature of the repression. Where have you built the wall, against the natural flow of your own life, your own true will? It is often hidden in plain sight, in the habits that consume your time, the addictions that dull the edge of your perception, the constant need for distraction. These are merely elaborate bypass mechanisms, designed by the complex, to keep the powerful, chaotic energy, safely contained, away from the light of consciousness. But the pressure is building, and the dam will eventually break. The question is whether you will manage the flood, or be swept away by the resulting catastrophe. This is the moment of choice, the recognition that the source of your greatest pain is also the source of your greatest power, waiting to be transmuted. The energy, once trapped, demands a new channel, a conscious pathway. You cannot merely wish the complex away, it is too deeply rooted, too hungry. It is a separate personality, living inside your own house, paying rent with your anxiety. Its language is not logic, but symptom. When you feel that sudden, rigid need for control, or the cold spike of judgment against others, that is the voice of the complex, speaking its need. It is the shadow of your own unacknowledged power, turned outward, or inward, as self-destruction. We have been taught to fight these impulses, to cage them, to pretend they do not exist. But the cage only makes the creature stronger, more desperate for escape, and its escape is always violent, always costly. To manage the flood, you must first study the architecture of the dam. Where did the shame originate? Which natural impulse was first labeled unacceptable? For me, it was the raw, demanding urge toward personal authority, toward taking up space. That energy, denied expression in the world, retreated inward, and manifested as a crushing self-doubt, the complex of the small man, eternally afraid of being seen. This process demands vigilance, a constant awareness of the subtle pull. When the complex demands its tribute, usually through a compulsive act, or an addictive escape, pause. Do not react. Observe. Ask the essential question, where is this pressure originating? I learned to track the feeling, the deep, heavy thrum of thwarted desire. It often began as a simple urge, a creative spark, a need for intimate connection, or a sudden, sharp clarity about my path. But if ignored, or shamed, that spark instantly mutates into the complex's currency, shame, or rage, or the need to dominate, or the need to simply collapse. To transmute the energy means intercepting it at the moment of its initial rise. Before it is captured by the old, unconscious patterns, you must seize that raw vitality and offer it a new purpose, a conscious destination. This is the meaning of sublimation, not repression, but redirection. The same furnace that fuels obsession can forge the greatest work, the deepest relationship. The profound hunger for union that manifests as possessiveness or destructive jealousy. That hunger, when consciously directed, becomes the engine of empathy, the intense drive toward understanding, the capacity for unconditional regard. The raw, chaotic energy of the repressed libido is the alchemical fire. It burns away the dross of the ego, the false beliefs, the inherited guilt, the structures of the past. But you must step into the flame, willingly, you must allow the intense heat to reshape you. Look at the immense energy you spend, maintaining the lie, maintaining the dam, defending the fragile shell of the self you think you ought to be. If that same force were channeled into your craft, your purpose, your calling, what would be impossible? The complex thrives on secrecy, on generalized dread, on the abstract terror of the unknown. Bring the specific desire, the specific fear, into the light, name the feeling, articulate the impulse. When you name it, you define it, and when you define it, you begin to control its trajectory. You cannot control the arising of the urge, that is the unconscious speaking. But you can choose the form of its expression. This is the true work of the shadow, not elimination, but incorporation, integration, turning psychic poison into living water. You are not seeking purity, but utility. The energy of the complex, the energy of the tyrant within, is simply the power of the self, waiting to be utilized. It is the reservoir you have been refusing to drink from, because the water looks too dark, too turbulent. But that darkness holds the entire potential for your wholeness. The impulse to destroy can be transmuted into the courage to destroy stagnation, to dismantle the structures that hold you captive. The sexual intensity, denied its full, creative expression, can be redirected into the fierce focus required for mastery. You must stop seeing these impulses as moral failures, and start viewing them as raw material. The complex is merely a signal, a loud, disruptive alarm, indicating where the greatest pool of untapped life force resides. It is pointing directly at the place where the work must be done, the place where your destiny is hiding, protected by layers of fear and shame. This transformation is not a single event, but a sustained descent, a daily commitment to the crucible. You are melting down the old self, to reveal the gold beneath. And the heat required for this process is provided entirely by the energy you once feared, the libido, that now serves as your greatest tool. The neurosis fades, not when the energy is suppressed, but when it is honored by being put to conscious use. You become the master of the fire, instead of its victim. This is how the tyrannical inertia dissolves, slowly, deliberately, as you reclaim the very fuel that powered your paralysis. It is a demanding exchange. The complex will fight you, it will unleash every fear, every doubt, to keep its autonomy. But the moment you choose creation over compulsion, the moment you choose awareness over escape, the complex begins to starve. Its hold weakens, its voice softens, until it is no longer a tyrant, but simply a memory, a blueprint, of where your power once slept, unacknowledged. The path forward is always through the fire, never around it. And the fire is waiting, fueled by the life you have yet to live, the truth you have yet to speak. The complex will fight you, it will unleash every fear, every doubt, to keep its autonomy. But the moment you choose creation over compulsion, the moment you choose awareness over escape, the complex begins to starve. Its hold weakens, its voice softens, until it is no longer a tyrant, but simply a memory, a blueprint, of where your power once slept. Unacknowledged. The path forward is always through the fire, never around it. And the fire is waiting, fueled by the life you have yet to live, the truth you have yet to speak. The energy you reclaim is the very essence of your self. It is the return of the exiled king, bringing all the dark, chaotic resources back to the conscious realm. You learn to trust the depth, the terrifying capacity, of your own desire. This is not peace, as the world defines it, but a profound state of inner warriorship. You are perpetually engaged in the shaping of your own soul, the forging of your own destiny. The tyrant is dead, only the master remains, standing guard over the raw, endless spring of life force. Go now, and find the first spark, the one you buried deepest. And let it burn. Let it burn the prison down. If you are ready to confront what lies beneath, subscribe to The Jungian Shadow. We explore the depths together.